Mr. Vera, thank you for your testimony here today at the redistricting hearing. Could you kind of give the readers of Texas GOP Vote a synopsis of what you talked about in there?
Yeah, I basically introduced myself, and I made the comment that we recognize that in redistricting, the victors get the spoils, and the losers get the spin, and that we expected there to be the usual political wrangling and maneuvering, fighting over the redistricting of the Texas districts. We expected it to be a lot of business as usual. I asked all the representatives and senators present to please not embarrass us as they did years ago when half of the legislature crossed state lines to hide and avoid the process of redistricting. I then shifted into my main point, which was that the Voting Rights Act, Voting Rights Districts, the communities of interest principles have created geopolitical and racial walls all throughout Texas and all throughout the country. The country is seriously polarized politically. And the predecessor events to redistricting have cemented that polarization and turned it from political polarization to racial. So now we're divided along racial lines that are linked in political lines. So I asked them to consider a Procter & Gamble technique of test marketing a new idea. Just give us 3 to 5 districts that represent a cross-section of both political orientation and racial diversity. Consider it a test market, consider it whatever you want, but give us a chance at the grassroots level to reach across those walls that divide us, give us a chance to develop consensus and integration that's critical to the state and to the future of the country. That was it.
Okay, and you mentioned that you are obviously a Hispanic man, and,
yes.
There's a strong interest in having Hispanic representatives, but one of the things you said that seemed to catch the audience's attention is reaching for the best qualified candidate rather than just someone who meets a certain...
I'm a conservative, so I was personally offended by the comments of some of the representatives at the table that seemed to imply that it was a requirement that we maneuver and rig the redistricting to ensure the election of a Hispanic person. I think that's wrong. I think we want to make sure that we ensure the election of the best qualified person who will best represent the interest of his constituents.
And so you feel like that the way the system is done now, that it's really hindering the race relations around the country rather than
I think it is perpetuating the division that has occurred over the last 20 years in this country as we have begun to gerrymander congressional districts by race, further isolating our people from one another instead of trying to reach out and create communities of trust.
Well, Senator Patrick said that your testimony was one of the most inspiring that he had heard in their travels around the state. That certainly speaks to the content, and the response from the audience when you were speaking was very solid behind you. Do you plan on doing anything from here to try to maybe get the 4 new congressional seats that Texas will get
I don't know
designated
yet.
under your plan?
I'm very active with the controversial King Street Patriots in Harris County with all of our voting activity and voter fraud detection, and I'm part of a team that will be working with the legislature on both redistricting as well as election law.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time and for your testimony, and certainly for your service as a ranger.
Thank you. Appreciate it.